Welcome to Her Brains, His Looks Real Estate and Lifestyle podcast. This episode features the town of Easton and is hosted by two of the smartest and most attractive realtors in the business. Well, according to their mothers. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the brains of the operation, Erika Portanova-Songer, and the looks, George E. O'Connell.
Nothing gets me more charged than hearing that intro.
It's pretty good, I have to say.
Pretty darn good. So we are here live on Facebook and YouTube. My name is George E. O'Connell, The Looks.
Yep. And I'm Erika Portanova-Songer, The Brains.
The brains with the most. Today we are featuring the town of Easton. We've already done Black Rock and Trumbull. So a few facts about the town of Easton we'll start off with before we get into fun stuff. It was incorporated in 1845. It is approximately, well, it actually is 28.6 square miles.
George likes data.
I love data. Has about between 7,500 and 7,600 people, the population. And for size-wise, it is population. It is the 103rd largest or smallest, depending on which way you look at it, in 176 towns in the state of Connecticut, cities and towns.
So living here in Fairfield County, it's definitely known to be one of the smallest towns population-wise, but of course, the property sizes there are much bigger. Most of the town is 3 acre zoning. So while you may buy a town that has not a lot of people, you have large properties,
3 acres.
3 acres minimum in most of the towns. So, okay. And like the median price point, for example, the income, for example.
Okay.
Is like
median income.
Median income, household income is 136,000. So it kind of gives you perspective of the town a little bit and who lives there.
All right. So part of our feature today, we're going to start off with what Easton is really sort of known for. There's not a ton of restaurants. We'll go through a couple of our favorites in the go-to too.
Right.
But farms, really, it started as a farming community, obviously, like the most of Connecticut, at least down here.
Right. So I grew up riding horses in Easton and frequented most of the farms and stuff. So we have some pretty cool farms that we visited, and but George and I did realize that a lot of them are closed in the winter. So we're gonna probably gonna be.
We did drive around. We saw animals.
We did, and we did it with the intent and hope of going to all these farms personally. But a lot of them are closed in the winter for the obvious reasons. So we'll probably be circling back to Easton come late spring, early summer.
But there's a lot of stuff we can talk about with our experiences.
Right, we've been there. We've been there in the past, and we know a lot about it. So one of the first ones, Sport Hill Farm, is located at 596 Sport Hill Road. So that's probably the newest farm. Patty and Al Pop, I don't know them personally, but they bought it in 2000. And it was pretty small to start, just a couple acres of farmland. And about a year into it, they got some chickens and they started selling organic vegetables locally. And they've grown now into about, by 2010, they're now selling about 100 different varieties of non-GMO sustainable produce along with their fresh free-range eggs. So I've been there with my daughter, and they had to do a lot of cute little things for small children. They have little crafts, they have little sort of tours, if you will. So it's a fun little place to go to, not only to purchase your the veggies and all that, but a little place to take kids to too. Which is
so it's beyond the farm stand. It really is
absolutely,
like
and it's beautiful.
A market of some,
yeah, and they've grown quite a bit. So definitely check them out. Sport Hill Farm and Silverman's Farm, which I think a lot of people know.
Well, I can speak to this one.
Yes, George can take over in this one.
Silverman's Farm, everyone knows their pies, their jams, their jellies right there in the front market when you arrive. But other, fun family events throughout the seasons, hay rides.
The corn pit, which is awesome.
What is a corn pit?
Oh, the best. When you have little ones and you sit there, or I guess you can go as an adult. It'd be odd, though, without children. There is a pit all full of corn kernels, and it feels pretty good on your feet. So you sit there, the kids are playing, and maybe the moms are hanging out.
So it's like mashing grapes with corn?
Kind of, or like it's kind of therapeutic for the mom.
How big is this pit?
big enough for adult women to sit in there while the kids are playing around them. So, no, it's a lot of fun. And anybody who needs to know this, George's favorite pie, strawberry rhubarb. So if you're ever at Silverman's, now you know.
And what's a rhubarb?
I don't know.
It's a root vegetable.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
is that a trick, like a fruit or vegetable?
No, it's delicious. That's all I know.
Well, as long as you're happy.
They have a great one up there.
But yeah, but Silverman's has been around a long time. Irv and Nancy Silverman live on the top of the hill, and as a kid, I've known them for a very long time. Not well, but I've known of them, and they have that entire sort of looks like it was a mountain where all the apple trees grow and
For apple picking.
Yep,
And
apple picking, the wagon rides, but that's all theirs, and it's known for people come in from the city a lot on the weekends. It's packed in the weekends on the fall.
Well, they have the petting zoo, which is quite extensive.
Petting zoo is awesome.
I mean, I've been to Stu Leonard's.
Yeah.
That petting zoo would fit in about 1/10
Yes.
of that petting zoo.
And these animals are alive, so that's probably. Wait, is there animals at Stu Leonard?
Yes, there is in
Oh, I didn't know-
Norwalk.
oh, I
Yeah,
never
Billy
go.
Goat Bridge.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a lot more animals at Silverman's. I did not
Yes.
know, but it's fun. It's a fun place to be, fun place to visit. But when it's open, which is helpful. They open around April, I think. These farms, right?
And where's that located?
Oh,
That is at 451 Sport Hill Road.
yeah, right in the center of town.
Most of these are on Sport. Well, all of them that we're featuring
Yeah.
are on Sport Hill Road. So it's
Coincidentally,
you can just go brrr,
Yep.
right up and hit
Got
them
it.
all.
Well, your first one would be Sherwood Farm, which we're talking about next, at 355 Sport Hill Road. And that's across from the Helen Keller School. And it's a 3-generation working farm.
Oh, is this your
This is my
bacon
place.
joint?
Yes, place I buy bacon, thanks to Paul Timniak out there, who highly recommended it. Actually, Paul and Bonnie. So giving you a shout out there.
Bacon.
They said I had to go buy their bacon. It's really good. So for those that enjoy that type of food, I would highly recommend that. And Snow's Farm, which has been there, it's forever. It's the oldest and largest supplier of organic lawn, garden soils, and manure in Fairfield County. And same family has been running it and living there for 100 years. And the nice thing about this is they deliver, so you can order it online, have it delivered. For those that are serious farmers, that's a really nice feature. So.
And we'll wrap it up on, actually, I did tell a fib, Maple Row Farm,
Oh yeah, one more, right?
which is located at 229 Stepney Road.
Right. So this one's been around since 1769, over 200 years of farming industry. So I think the theme is we have a lot of long-standing family-run farms, which I think is a really nice feature. It started out as a 4-H project for Christmas trees back in 1920s
Wow.
by Sherwood Edwards. And then his son Jim and his grandsons David and Scott then sort of took over the business and took it to the level it's at now. They had introduced additional product lines like firewood and mulch, along with all the other things that one requires: bagged soil, grass seed. You know what bagged soil is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause
Landscaping needs.
because you garden a lot. So, George does not garden. But you
I have gardened. Thank you.
really a lot. So they have actually a storefront with same address, 227 Stepney Road. So it's just next door to the farm. But the cool thing I thought was they used to be a big dairy farm. And when the dairy farm was no longer in the 1960s, they got oxen. And apparently you have to get 2 oxen, hence a team of oxen, because you have to have 2 to pull the whatever you're pulling, because they can pull the size of a load equal to what a tractor can. I just learned all this.
I thought that was all my job.
Oh,
is
was
to-
it the oxen? Oh, to pull things? Yes. Yes.
I
George
pick
is,
things up and I put things down.
yes, that George is very good at that. He's my heavy lifter in this work relationship. So they have 2 teams of oxen now. Their names are Pete and Mike and Bill and Joe, and they keep them around.
You have the oxen's names.
Of course I do.
Oh,
Pete and Mike and Bill and Joe. It's awesome.
got it.
And they keep them around for a little vintage reminder of
Just-
what yesteryear reminded them of. Yeah.
Just a reminder also, while we're live, you can comment and ask us questions. And if it's something that we can answer, we will. We can feature a question on our podcast. We'll read it out loud for those who are just listening, because we are now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcaster. We're on almost every platform, so it's kind
And
of
we're
exciting.
super excited about that. George knows what it all means. I just know to be happy about it. So
Yeah, I just show her the
yeah.
stats.
Yay.
So what else do we got coming up this
Oh,
week?
yeah,
Is
so-
anything going on this
Oh,
week that
well,
I
my-
should be aware of?
Well, you should probably know. You should probably be aware for your wife. This is the best holiday ever. It's not. I do not like this holiday. Valentine's Day. No, it's fine. It's Valentine's Day. I thought I should just mention it because
Sure.
it's February and people should be aware of it. And it's this Friday, February 14th. I have a little data here that I will not read out loud. but
Yeah,
you
it's
can
a
reference.
Yeah. So once we're
You can reference it later if you'd like.
once we're done with our podcast, we do link our Google slideshow PDF to our podcast, so you can pull that up.
Yep.
Check out all the farms we checked out and the real estate stats, and
You can read it at your leisure.
at your leisure.
Yep. So happy Valentine's Day to all. And I already hold
Happy
on.
Valentine's Day to all.
Thank you. But
And
George,
you yourself.
hold on, George. Remember what I want for Valentine's Day.
Sloth socks
And find them where?
at Pure Poetry on Madison Ave in Trumbull.
Thank you. That's one of the stores we featured last week. So
I
I've
don't
already-
know if that's
I have
appropriate
l-
if I buy you sloth socks
totally-
for Valentine's
Your
Day.
wife will not mind. It's totally appropriate. But I do feel that I literally have pointed out and I practically gave him the gift that I want.
And
So
I put them right back down.
I know you did. I gave you a present. You already ate half of it. So
Well, yeah, it's
happy Valentine's Day. All
peanut
right.
butter cups. Who doesn't love those?
Well, obviously.
So now we jump into the meats and the stats of Easton.
Right. So each podcast, every town we're going to feature, we're always going to mention the real estate statistics of that town because remember, first and foremost, we are realtors, right? We're realtors with William Pitt Sotheby's here in Southport, Connecticut. We work all of Connecticut, primarily Fairfield, New Haven counties, but we do it all, commercial and residential. Okay, that's my big plug for us.
That's your plug. Yeah,
our
I liked
plug.
it.
Yeah, thank you. So Easton single family closed sales. We focus on just the last 2 years, 2018 and 19, or full calendar years.
And single family homes in particular.
Right. Although Easton I don't think has anything other than single family, but you're right. We do focus in all of our towns.
Multis? No?
Not legally, I don't think they would. So, so 123 homes closed in 2018 and 122 homes closed in 2019. So clearly the market hadn't shifted in either year. Easton is known, while it's a fantastic town, inventory tends to move a little bit slower. That's pretty typical for that town. So
Pretty steady. I mean, it's a lot like Trumbull,
Yep,
statistic wise.
it is, yes, consistent. And, remember you have less houses. So you have the inventory is always gonna be a little bit lower because of the way the town spans. All right, hold on. I got to move my slide here. So first I'm doing slides.
I know
Very
that this.
exciting.
I
A
mean,
little slow.
I run the board, but Erika is now running the slide, so I can actually move my hands around.
And I keep forgetting that I'm in charge of slides. So I look at George like, why aren't we
Come
on
on,
the next
move
slide?
on.
Okay, all right. So this is just a map of the homes that closed in 2019. I think the bigger thing is to see the towns that surround Easton. So they're touching Reading, Weston, Monroe, Trumbull.
Yeah, Fairfield.
5
5 towns.
5 towns. So, which is kind of neat. All right, moving on to the next slide. Our average sale price of what's sold in 2018, we have 609,000, or roughly 610,000, and 2019 we have 615,000 average sale price.
Went up about 1%.
Yep, went up slightly. Again, consistent to the 123 homes that sold in 18 and 122 homes that sold in 19. Average days on market. Every time we list a house with a client, right, George, they ask, one of the big questions they ask is,
Could you move this slide, please?
oh, God. Oh my God. Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's right in front of me, but
Not just your book, the slide too.
oh my next time I'll have this down pat.
All right, go on.
So anyway, George, what's the one of the biggest questions they ask us when we're listing a house?
Well, listing.
Yeah.
How long until my house will get an offer that is accepted?
Right. So that's what we call average days on market. While this can be skewed slightly because it depends on the listing agent changing the status from what they call active to show, which means there's an accepted and signed offer. But that's the time span that's calculated in the average days of market. So in 2018, we had roughly 106 days it took from the house went live on the market to get an accepted offer, and slightly more in the next year of 2019, 111 days. So this is my point to my earlier point. Easton does move, what I could say moves a little slower. It just tends to take a little bit longer to move, to sell.
From like 2 to 3 months in our previous towns to 3 to 4 months.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So slide. Okay. Got it.
This is amazing to me, this number.
Well, right.
This is just
Right. Remember,
mind blowing to me.
anyone who knows Easton, so your price points range, there's a huge span of price points, right? So we can go in at the low fours, maybe. There's a time you can never get into that town without having a 5 in front of the number. And now, of course, a span of, the most money you can spend there, you're going to see in this average here. So the total volume of closed sales in 2018, 75 million.
And what is it in 19?
In 2019, it's the same thing, 75 million.
It's separated by $3,200.
Yeah. So it's a town that moves slightly slow, has some really nice offerings, some nice price points there. So something to consider when you're looking for a house.
It's remarkable to me.
All right. The average percentage of when the house sells to the last list price. And we point out the last list price because you may have a house on the market at X amount and you may adjust that list price once or twice until you find that sweet spot where then an offer comes in and you come to a point of agreement. So in 2018, we found that homes sold at about 95% of what their last list price was. And 2019, it was pretty much the same thing.
Again, steady.
Steady Eddie. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now we head over to what's actually still active in Easton, what is in contract, and what has kind of an agreeable offer. So
right. So right now we have 50 single family homes for sale that are active on the market. Average list price of these homes are offering price is $784,411, $784,000.
yeah, that's a little, from your average before. It's a little heightened. There's a lot of higher end properties that are still active.
Right, which is going to affect the average price. So, and currently there's 11 homes that have accepted offers. That means that they have come to agreement on the terms. Maybe they've done their inspections, but they have not gotten their mortgage yet, typically. And that average price point of those homes that have offers accepted is $564,000. If you round it up,
we don't know what they're closing at yet.
Right,
exactly.
And 10 homes with signed contracts. Usually when the contracts are signed, right, fully executed contracts mean that they've gone through the inspection, of course, and they've gone through and are very close to getting their mortgages. So that average price point of those ask prices are $560,000. All right.
And that brings us to Her Brains, His Looks active house on the market in Easton. It is located at 360 Center Road in Easton. It is a antique house. It was built in 1790. It's on 5.8 acres. It has living space of 3,100 square feet, 12 rooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 full and 1 half bath.
Right, and this house, so it's known for, obviously it's an antique home, and it's being sold as is. So a lot of times you'll come across when listings will state that, usually in the remark, it's always in the remark section, sold as is, where is. It's a common phrase we use, and that simply means that by definition of that statement, that the house, you as a buyer are entitled to do your due diligence, right? Your inspections, your whatever you're doing, but the seller is not going to and or obligated to do anything about what you may find in the inspection because they've already identified their sort of position at the listing at the start that is sold as
when
is.
It's labeled as is.
Yeah. So
they're saying you're getting this house as it sits.
As it sits and as it looks and as it may or may not be with inspections, however it passes or fails. So really the best thing about that though is it should manage the expectations of the buyer. So for instance, I find that buyers that go into those kind of houses need to be prepared or capable of doing work, because most homes I find that are sold as is do need work and require sometimes some significant work. So you want to have that right buyer profile that comes in who can handle that type of project.
Yeah, it's definitely managing those expectations because even as is, you're going to get your inspection. you're going to get your list of what's wrong, and then you decide what's
Right.
important to you to go ahead if you decide to move forward.
Because remember, the inspections are informational for you to, again, to give you the information you need to decide to move forward or not.
And a lot of as-is homes, they wouldn't decide not to inspect because it is as-is. They would move ahead with the inspection.
It'd be foolish not to, frankly. It's your legal right to do an inspection. What you decide to do with the information is up to you at the end, but it's worth the money you're spending to do the inspection. My opinion.
Your opinion? All
My
right.
subtle opinion.
So, and that brings us to our segment, which is our industry focus. So we'll start with, it is our first time home buyer tips. And these are, let me just get the page here, sorry. Tip number 1, pay off your debts and build an emergency fund. Basically, get your credit in order.
Right. You want to kind of find out what your credit is first. It's a good idea to find out the credit score. Just have an idea. We all think we know, but really you should check it every year anyway, just for if there's anything fraudulent being done with your finances.
And a lot of these apps now on your phone, whether it's Credit Karma, Experian, or whatever it is, they'll give you a score. But you do have the free credit score that you can get online at freeannualcreditscore.com. That's a good way to start. And with regards to the emergency fund,
Oh, yeah.
they say, have 3 to 6 months of all expenses in an account ready just in case something happens. Could
You
be
lose your job or something medically happens to you. You
medically
can't work.
happens.
Yep.
So, the good rule of thumb there is 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Around here, I'd say it's closer to 6.
Yeah, in this area.
Yeah.
But so and as far as the going back to credit, I just checked Credit Karma myself because I asked, we all have to check our credit, whether we're buying or selling or just want to know what's going on. And Credit Karma was great because apparently they don't ding your credit score, your credit report. So you can check it. The number, I understand, is not super accurate, but at least it shows you an idea of what your, the number of accounts you have open or closed. So you just want to see a general, assembly of what things you have on.
Because
your
there is that
finances.
tri-merge or double merge, depending on who's pulling your credit for what.
Right.
So Credit Karma and that merge could float 20, 30 points.
Sure. Just don't be afraid to check it though, because it's good to know what's going on.
Number 2, determine how much house you can afford. Now, this is through, the Dave Ramsey website. He is a financial planner and an investment advisor. Their suggestion, which I kind of follow, is have your home costs at somewhere around 25% of your take home, your net.
Oh, I don't think I knew that percentage. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So that's, so basically if make easy numbers easy, if it's $100,000 home, make sure, 25 grand is there for your house. Number 3 is save for that down payment. Now, depending on the loan program you're going to go with, there's the 20%, which is conventional and avoiding your PMI, but there's tons of programs out there, 10, 5, 3%, no percent down with, VA loans and such.
Right. And it's important for people to know too. I don't think everyone understands this, that you don't have to do, everyone thinks you have to do 20% down payments. That is absolutely not true. They have all these mortgage brokers and banks have these fabulous different products they offer that have all types of programs that can cater to your lifestyle, your current income, your current debt situation. So they're going to do what's best for you. And everyone, it's like going through a process of sort of, finding yourself the best outfit that works. I mean, they're going to find out what works for your lifestyle currently. And, down the road, you may change it or refinance to, have another program that suits your lifestyle better. But it's important to understand you have a lot of options out there.
Yeah. Number 4 is kind of in conjunction with 3, the down payment is closing costs. Excuse me. We're looking at kind of a lower price home in the area. Let's say 250 to 300,000. So the rule of thumb there would be closing costs would be 3 to 4%.
Right. And then, when you get into the process and you're getting close to, pursuing a home, you can ask the mortgage broker that you're working with or the banker that, what approximately can they give you an estimate of what the closing costs, will be. And they can tell you that, of course, they can't finalize it until they have the actual purchase price, confirmed. Another way to avoid closing costs, though, is to finance the closing costs. So you, the buyer, makes an offer. and let's say the closing costs are let's say 10,000. Make my life
Make
easier with
numbers
numbers.
nice and round.
So you're buying a $300,000 house, and you're going to offer $300,000, but you're really going to offer $310,000 because you're going to finance the closing costs. In other words, you're not physically putting the cash down for closing costs. You're going to tie it into your mortgage.
You're getting money back basically during your mortgage
That
process.
goes right, and that goes right back into paying the closing costs off because those have to be done on the day of closing. So the positive is you don't have to have the 10 grand in cash, which a lot of us frankly want to use our cash for other things, the renovations or whatever else we need. The other thing is the house has to appraise at the sale price. Sale price will reflect that inflated number. So that's something, if the appraisal is a concern, something to think about, but more often than not, it's not an issue. So there's a lot of ways to buy your first house and not be cash.
To structure the deal.
Yep.
Basically.
Absolutely.
Number 5 ties into that because you'll be talking to your lender at that same time. Get pre-approved for a loan. Go and visit at least 2 or 3.
Whoever
whoever you're comfortable with. It could be your local federal credit union. It could be your local banker, but get that pre-approval letter for the amount you're looking to.
And one thing I feel you should not gauge one against the other based on the rate they offer, because the rate is only one portion of that credit of the mortgage package they're going to provide to you. So picking one because of a better rate is not always the best idea. Get the full understanding what they can offer service-wise and package-wise.
And this is where we step in.
Our job. What we do for a living.
Find a home for sale in your price range. We will definitely advocate finding a great realtor.
That's us.
Yes, that's without a doubt us. They're there to be, your partner in this deal. They want to find you a home as much as you want to find a home that fits for you, that works for you, and that is in your budget.
So a lot of times when clients say, well, I was pre-approved for $500,000, I looked at them, I say, great, okay, but what do you want to spend? Because that number oftentimes can be, should be different. You can be pre-approved for that higher number, but maybe you're only comfortable spending $450. So whatever that number is, you tell me, and that's the number we look at. We stay in the range that you're comfortable spending.
And there's, wiggle room for negotiation.
Absolutely.
So everyone thinks that, what's listed. Some folks feel what's listed is what they're going to end up paying, but
not necessarily.
Not necessarily if your realtor does the job for you, and we will. Next is research your neighborhoods for the best fit. Now, this is a little touchy for realtors, without a doubt. But, the best advice we would give you is go visit the neighborhood, hang around the neighborhood. Some, friends of mine have lived in the neighborhood for a year to see if it was a proper fit.
Via renting.
See if the lifestyle fits. I know people always like, how are the schools? How are the schools? What we do is it's really do your own due diligence.
Well, explain why don't you, George, explain why it's touchy, though, why it's difficult for us or we're not allowed to sort of comment on schools, for example. It's like fair housing.
It's basically what my perception of a good school is a different perception for the buyer.
Right.
So I'm projecting my perceptions on what you think is a good school.
Right.
So the best thing, I found is to direct them. You can to websites.
Mm-hmm. I like niche.com.
Yeah, niche.com.
Yep.
We'll put it in our podcast notes, but that's a good one for schools. Neighborhood crime statistics. The best advice that we would give is go visit, your local police station. You can get them from them directly.
Absolutely. And to your point earlier about the neighborhoods, I always help, a potential buyer for that particular house, come through on the weekends, come through during the weekdays, see if it's the kind of neighborhood that you're comfortable living in and if something that works for your lifestyle.
And different times of the day, everyone knows the nighttime can be quite different than the daytime.
Absolutely. So it is, the buyers do have to do a little bit of their own due diligence as well. So, okay.
And number 8 is attend open houses. That kind of speaks for itself.
Right. So if you're not going with your realtor out on the weekend, you go on the open house and you report back to your realtor. That'd be us. And then we go and check it out for you. And then we go back together to visit it a second time.
Yeah, and then we come up to make a competitive offer. Obviously, you'll be discussing this with your realtor. This is one also that, we love the house, and we don't want to lose it. Situations come up a lot, but the offer might not be competitive, and they might risk losing the house they love. So if you can afford it and it's in your budget, think about the offer. Your realtor will help you make sure that the offer is sound.
And by doing that, he or she, one of us, will look at comparable sales, and that's how we can determine the value of that house that you want to buy. And then we give you the information, and we give you our advice. And of course, we hope you take it. But at the same token, you have to be comfortable with the decision you want to make and what you want to present. But our job is to give you the information, the tools to come to that decision yourself.
Well, give them the data and explain the data. Yep. Happens to be a lot of our, that is our job, because some of the data is quite confusing at times.
Absolutely.
And then the final number 10 is prepare for the closing. Again, this will be part of the negotiation deal, how quickly the seller can get out of the house.
Yep.
Typical, we're looking at 30 to 45 days.
It depends, yeah. I mean, 30 days is aggressive, but
it's aggressive, yeah.
45 to 60 is probably a bit more comfortable for most. But you're right, we do see a lot of 30-day closings these days. And one random side tip: before you're about to close on a house, don't make any major financial purchases. So I had a client.
Back to your credits.
Yeah,
get your credit.
I had a client once 2 weeks out from buying their house, and she bought a car.
Car.
So that changes your loan. That changes your loan
because they'll recheck it coming into closing.
Absolutely. So now your debt is increased from prior to 2 weeks before that, and now you can no longer be qualified for that mortgage. So don't do that. All right, moving on.
All right, this is our favorite segment. At least my favorite.
George's favorite. I like it too, though.
Without a doubt.
Sorry.
That's okay. It is her brains, his looks. Go to. We went out yesterday.
Yes, we did. On a rainy day.
On a rainy day, we took out those farms that were all closed.
Yep.
We ended up stopping by Greiser's Coffee and Market on 299 Center Road. Can be found in Easton, and Grazers.com. Again, that'll be the information will be provided in our Google Slides. We had some great coffee there.
We did. We met who was the manager, Ryan or Brian?
Ryan.
Nice guy.
Yeah, great guy.
And they sell obviously coffee and tea and all that. And but they have a lot of cool little things there.
Yeah.
Little gifts, little housewares, little jewelry. They neat things there.
Yeah, neat things. I thought, my family's owned a coffee shop back in the day in downtown Bridgeport. They had a mug club. I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of like the, beer mug at
that was
some
awesome.
taverns.
How does the mug club work again?
You have your mug.
You just leave it there?
You leave it there on a hook.
Awesome.
Kind of like the pewter mugs in like a Wolfboro Tavern in New Hampshire. And you claim your mug, and they, I don't know if they give you a discount on the coffee. But
you can see the picture on the right.
But it's your mug with your name on your little tag above your mug. So it's kind of nifty.
Yeah, and George took a picture of it. You can see on the far right.
On the slide.
On my right, on the slide. Yeah, so that was neat. So you got a coffee, I got a tea. It was good.
It was very good. Yeah. So that building is 3 generations of Greisers.
Yep.
It dates back into 1926.
Yep.
I think the Greisers, Marcandelli, they sell gasoline. Dick Greiser, who has the antique shop,
right,
used to be in where the coffee shop is. He moved to the back in the lower level, and he runs his antique shop and his gas pumping services out of the back now. So it's still there. It's just tucked away in a little bit smaller place.
So when George and I were younger, we didn't know each other, but when we were younger, we would go there, and it was definitely a bit more of a what's the word? It was a bit more rustic.
Yeah,
and
that's a fair word.
It's a fair word. You know, it's kind of a deli / a little bit of everything type of food mart.
But if you wanted a good story, you'd go and talk to Dick. He was just an amazing
charming old guy.
An amazing storyteller.
And they've always had antiques there. Always. I mean, since I was for a long time, since I was a kid, always sold antiques. Those same antiques. Maybe there's different ones now. But
I hope so. I hope he's doing some selling.
But those you can find in the back through the invisible door we had to enter because I said to Ryan or Brian, what is it again? Ryan.
Could be Brian.
The lovely manager.
I think
said,
Brian was the other guy.
Yeah, right. I said, so how do I get to the antique? He goes, it's through the invisible door. And I was like, he's like, that's because everybody doesn't see the door. It's totally a door, but people miss it because I don't think they think
Well, I had to ask.
Well, yeah. And of course,
As I was tucking away,
Yeah.
seeing they have a gas pump globe in the back. It's
that was
awesome.
neat, yeah.
Really neat. So they're open 6 to 6 weekdays, 6 to 3 on the weekends. Definitely go check out Grazers.
Sandwiches, pastries, coffee. It's a good place to hang out and a good place to grab coffee or food.
And then we went on our way down the street to the Bluebird Inn, which is located at 363 Black Rock Turnpike.
Yep. And that's been around a very long time, since 1919. Everybody knows about it. They think there are some stories of, who did I say? Lorraine Warren?
Warren.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess she and her husband, who I can't think of the name, they used to have...
Ed
I
Warren,
don't think
maybe.
he's Ed.
I think it's Ed.
But everybody knows they were paranormal...
Ghost hunters.
Communicators, mediums. But the story that I read in some publication was that they used to have breakfast there all the time, and he passed away prior to her recently dying. And so when she had breakfast there one morning, apparently she heard a song he'd always whistle, or somebody heard something he'd whistle, and
There was activity.
there was
in the
activity,
building.
and apparently he might have been there. So just kind of neat. But
the husband might have been there.
Yeah, spiritually, just kind of neat. But
Yeah. We did have a breakfast for lunch.
we did. I selected George's breakfast for him, knowing that he'd want it because it had hash browns.
It was like a corned beef
Yeah, it was
hash
really good.
Benedict.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I know they're known for their pancakes, so I don't want to see the comments coming at me.
Right.
But this corned beef hash Benedict of sorts
Yeah.
was amazing. Awesome.
And mine was good too. I had a breakfasty type of thing too. It was like a bacon, egg. I don't even know.
Yeah, you
It was
threw in a
delicious.
tomato and
Tomato.
you thought it was going to make it healthy.
Yeah. But I felt like it
You did take out the onions.
I did take out the onions. Somehow that made that better. I don't know why. But the place is great. So definitely check it out on Black Rock Turnpike.
Yeah. And back to the Warrens.
Oh,
my
yeah.
Easton ghost story.
Oh, yes.
And I'm trying to think of the cemetery's name. I forgot to look it
So
up.
we know the intersection. It's
It's Sport Hill,
Sport Hill Road and
and Stepney Road.
Stepney Road. Yep.
Yep. There's a cemetery. I want to say it's Trinity Cemetery, but I'm not 100% sure. So I was coming home late at night. I just finished working at West Fair Fish and Chips.
Many years ago.
It was in the mid 90s. And after a second job, driving home, I had my Ford Bronco.
Of course you did.
My friend at the time was in the car sleeping. And as I was driving on Stepney Road heading towards Route 25, I came across the white lady. And I'm not even remotely joking. I don't think it's funny.
Goosebumps.
I mean, I was driving, listening to probably Weeby 108 because it was pre-XM. And I saw something. And I screeched the car to a halt, threw Sally like into her seatbelt. And she's like, what the heck just happened? I'm like, the white lady. She's like, get out of town. I'm telling you.
So this cemetery is known for this.
The Warrens have done some investigation. Big George, the looks, has come across the white lady.
Yep. And I hope I never do, but that's a great story. I just hope I never share that experience with you. So
Yeah, most people don't believe me, but
I know,
it is a fact.
no, I legit believe you because you wouldn't lie about that kind of stuff.
All right, so that
you know.
comes into our wrapping up segment, which is area events. It doesn't necessarily
yep.
have to be in the town we are featuring,
So we'll have this on our website and
which is
right?
herbrainshislooks.com, and you just click on HBL's area picks, calendar picks.
And we'll load in all the events on that calendar as they come up and as they come in, and we'll try to continue to feed that calendar.
And if you have events you want us to feature, just send us an email.
Oh yeah, please do. So one event we're going to add to the calendar is so Harbor Yard Webster Arena has opening or working on opening this amphitheater.
Yeah,
right?
I saw that today.
Yeah.
The concert's coming.
So the first concert in the amphitheater, it's not one I particularly would enjoy because it's heavy metal music. But Ryan Miller, one of our colleagues here at Sotheby's, would love it. So August 24th, they'll have their first outdoor outdoor concert.
Oh, it's
called-
in August.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Deftones. Deftones Deftones group. Do you know them?
I do not.
Well, Ryan Miller, if you're listening, you'll know them. Anyway, but tickets go on sale this Friday,
Valentine's Day.
at 1 p.m.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So be sure to look out for that. But definitely check out our calendar. We'll be continually feeding that with information and events as you may.
Yeah, so just to remember, the Harlem Globetrotters are coming to Webster Bank a week from
22nd.
Friday
Yep.
on the 21st. We also have Scout Ninja Marvel Night on the 29th. That is, again, over the Sound Tigers over in Bridgeport. But check out our calendar. We are happy to say we, again, are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Please do support us. Subscribe if you'd like. We love the support, love the feedback, and also remember our day jobs are
Full-time realtors
Yep.
with William Pitt Sotheby's in the Southport brokerage.
right. So our contact information is loaded up here, and you can call us. Oh, what's our number again? I wrote it down.
203-454.
No, 424
424.
1354.
Say that again.
Yeah, 203-424-1354. We'll start learning our new podcast number.
Yeah.
At least I
Well,
am.
there's so many ways to contact
So
us.
many
It's
ways.
unbelievable.
Anyway, but thank you for listening.
And I am George E. O'Connell, The Looks.
And I am Erika Portanova Songer, The Brains.
And this is Her Brains, His Looks, the podcast.
The opinions, beliefs, and viewpoints expressed by the podcast hosts and their guests are theirs solely. The information shared has been professionally sourced and disseminated through the resources provided by the sponsoring real estate brokerage and their real estate experiences.